Active stretching is something you may see some of your fellow runners doing at the beginning of a race and wonder, should I be doing that? I'm Dr. Heather, your virtual sports chiropractor, and over the next 27 weeks, you'll be able to catch all 27 tips and tricks right here on the channel. The entire series is brought to you by my signature course, the 3-week sports chiropractic program, where I look at getting you pain-free in under a 3-week period of time so you can get back to the activity you love most. Now, if you want to go ahead and grab the complete guide, click the link down below and you can grab that guide today. Now, again, these tips and tricks are in no specific order, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into the stretching aspect of these tips. We're going to start with tip number 3, active stretching. Active stretching is also known as dynamic stretching, and if you haven't checked out my video on dynamic stretching right here on the channel, click that link up above and go ahead and check it out. Now, the whole premise behind active stretching is to really kind of increase the blood flow to those large muscle groups, preparing them for activity. This is key in making sure an injury does not set in. Again, key in making sure that the injury doesn't set in. So when you're out there running that race, you're not feeling like a hamstring pull, you're not feeling a quad strain, or the hip flexors tighten up. The whole premise here is to stay active before your actual event. So really warming things up, getting some blood flow moving to those areas. Now, a lot of times you'll see runners do things like high knees, butt kicks, jumping jacks, or even take a couple little mini laps around the course. And again, if you're not sure what types of things are considered dynamic stretches, check out that link that's above regarding the dynamic stretching video. Now, who here has watched live sports? We all have, right? Have you seen the trainer on the sidelines, on the ground, stretching out the athlete and wondered what form of stretching that is? Well, we're going to get right into passive stretching. This is tip number 4. But remember, these tips are in no specific order, and if you want to grab the complete guide, which is the 27 tips and tricks for runners on injury prevention, go ahead and grab that guide down below. Now, passive stretching is a form of static stretching, which means that an external force, usually an individual, is going ahead and exerting a force on a limb. So most commonly, sometimes we'll see this with a hamstring. Sometimes we might see this kind of with like low back, maybe a quad stretch. But this is where you're trying to use like a partner or a prop to assist you in gaining a little bit more range of motion. Now, it's really important to understand that you would want to do passive stretching post-run. And you might be saying, why? Why would I want to do passive stretching post-run? Especially because, again, just like with active stretching, you may see your fellow runners doing various things and wondering if you should be doing that. Active stretching, like we said, is great to do before a run because you're warming up the body for activity. Passive stretching is meant to be the recovery phase. And if you did passive stretching before the actual run, you're defeating the purpose of getting blood flow going to those large muscle groups to help decrease the chance of an injury setting in, versus using it properly for that recovery period. You're allowing for lactic acid, which is the byproduct that gets produced once our muscles have exerted themselves. You're going to go ahead and use passive stretching to help push that lactic acid out, really stretch out that muscle, cool the body down, and get yourself more prepped and ready for recovery, which will also aid in decreasing that soreness. Now, if you're unsure of what types of passive stretches you should be doing post-activity, or how to use actually like a band or a strap to do certain passive stretches, click the video I've left above, because right here on the channel, I have gone through some great passive stretches that you guys can do post-activity. Now, again, this is meant to be done after the activity, okay? This is really key in making sure that you don't allow yourself to risk an injury from setting in because you've gone ahead and done passive stretching before that activity, which led to overstretching the muscle and then an injury set in. So remember, active, movement-based, we do that before. Passive is more recovery-based, and we do that after. Do you know what a TRX is? Maybe you've seen them at the gym, but did you know they can help with resistance stretching? Okay, we've combined all of our stretching now into one video. First, we went over tip number 3, which was active. Then we went into tip number 4, which was passive. Now, tip number 5 is resistance stretching. And again, like I said, these tips are in no order. These are a part of my whole guide, the 27 tips and tricks on injury prevention for runners. So again, we're going to get started with tip number 5, which looks at resistance stretching. Many of you may not be familiar with resistance stretching, which is also known as power band stretching. What happens is the muscle is stretched while under tension and elongated in a position to allow for increased flexibility. This is why I say using a TRX would be a great tool to help your body in increasing flexibility and mobility to go ahead and getting your body more prepped, more set for activity and decreasing that chance for injury. Now again, when you're using a power band or something like a TRX to do resistance stretching, you want to make sure that the core is 100% engaged and that you're moving your body through various ranges of motion, through all the different planes of motion and movement based. This is where we want to really look at increasing that mobility to all of our joints, ankle, hip, knee, shoulders, low back, you name it. Now, if you're not sure on really what stretches you should do or what would be considered a resistance stretching program, again, check out the link I've left you above, because right here on the channel, I go through how to use resistance stretching using a TRX. You're gonna find it really key in helping you stay injury-free further. Bottom line is flexibility relieves pain, prevents injuries, and increases comfort. If you're someone who is going through different types of chronic ailments, or maybe you've had an acute flare-up, you want to go ahead and check out how to use the active, passive, and resistive stretching to really kind of help you further in getting pain-free and getting yourself back to activity. Try out some of the stuff I've left you right here on the channel regarding how to use the TRX to do resistant stretching. I think you'll be surprised. Now don't forget to catch all 27 tips and tricks right here on the channel. And guys, I'm Dr. Heather, your virtual sports chiropractor. I'll catch you in the next video.